Hi, good evening, everybody. Welcome to CEU Executive MBA Open Day, live from Budapest, Bucharest, and Warsaw. I'm Thomas Lamel, the Senior Program Manager of Executive MBA, and I will guide you through this evening. What to expect tonight? First of all, we'll start with the program presentation. Then you'll have the opportunity to meet a current participant, engage with him, interact with him, ask questions about the program, about his experience, and he will share his experience about the program so far and his motivation. After the meet and greet with the current participant, we'll have a general Q&A session with the faculty director and me, where you can ask general questions about the program. If you're joining us online, feel free to use the chat box in order to place questions. I will collect them and ask them during the Q&A session later. And the highlight of this evening is the keynote presentation by our faculty member, Professor Aistosenius. She's going to lecture us on machine versus romance, which wins and when. So without any further ado, let's start with the program presentation. The problem you're facing right now is an MBA still relevant? Or to put it more boldly, is it still worth it? Because on one hand, business management seems to be intensively knowledge-based as ever in history. Data-driven decision-making, advanced financial management, ever more complex leadership challenges. In the era of massive social and generational changes, ever more complex strategic and political picture, and expectations for companies to take a more active role in solving the world's key social and environmental challenges. But on the other hand, there is just so much uncertainty and change going on in the world right now. Just think about the last more or less decade. In 2008, we had the biggest financial crisis since the 1930s. In 2015, at that time, the largest refugee crisis in Europe in decades, now obviously overshadowed by an even bigger one. In 2020, the largest pandemic in over a century started, and it's still ongoing. And today, we are witnessing the biggest war in Europe after World War II. And these changes are part of a much broader set of transformation that is taking place. Some of them are positive, and some of them are pretty dangerous. And the key question is, how do we as business professionals, how do you as business professionals deal with this new environment and this challenging and uncertain environment? And the obvious question is an MBA the way to do it? We have seen an explosion of online education over the last 2 years, so I'll show you why we believe CEU Executive MBA is still worth it. If you're interested in further education, you usually start reaching for the stars, looking out for the best universities out there, mostly located in the US. That's basically where the Google search starts for you in most cases. And what you tend to find is at the leading business schools in the world, that they have a very differentiated or mission-driven MBA curriculum. They have a certain field of expertise. They offer a certain field of perspective. They offer a certain set of values or a mission in order to decorate their curriculum. Another advantage of these programs is that since these are the leading business schools that you've started your research with, they can attract global faculty from the best business schools, from other good business schools out there. If you're attending business schools in the US, their faculty is basically very international and with high credentials, coming from universities with high reputation. Another advantage of these business schools is that they offer an international student body. Likewise, with the international faculty body, they offer an international student body because of their reputation of these universities. And you would benefit from this international student body because of its diversity. These American universities offer also campus experience that we know from American movies that take place at colleges. It's in the US, at these leading business schools, a university is more than just a building. It's more than just knowledge transfer. It creates a sense of belonging. You're part of a community and part of a family. But the downside is, once you have continued with your research, you will experience some disadvantages. First of all, and maybe the most striking disadvantage, is the cost of tuition of these programs. These programs in the US or at INSEAD start at 120,000 euro of tuition, in addition to other expenses like traveling, family relocation, starting a new life, or being out of your job for that time. Speaking of being out of your job for that time, most of these programs require you to move to this new location and to be out of your job for at least 1 year, sometimes even 2 years, which is another financial burden because you're not on your job if you're not lucky enough to have one of these arrangements with your employer. And another very important disadvantage is family relocation. If you're joining one of these programs for a year or two, it means that you have to relocate your families as well. Your partners, your wives, your husbands, your children. And I guess your partners have career too, which might be a disruption for their career too if you're pursuing higher education at these universities. So if you contrast that with the MBAs in your city, you would find other advantages. If this frightens you off, you start looking for programs in your city or in your region, and what you find is a plain vanilla MBA curriculum, which means they don't offer a certain expertise, they don't offer a certain perspective, they don't offer any values or even a mission. So it's a plain so-called vanilla MBA curriculum. Since those programs are global, maybe just in your city or in the region, so is the faculty. It's mostly a local or regional faculty, but not really an international faculty. You won't be educated by faculty coming from around the world, from other cultures, other business schools. And this same argument applies to the international student body, which is not international at these programs. It's rather regional or local student body, which doesn't add up to diversity that you would expect in order to learn from these programs. Of course, local programs have a huge advantage, which is tuition. Since local programs don't have the reputation and don't have the academic excellence like the leading business schools, they are cheaper. So these programs start at 15,000 euro of tuition or 35,000, going to 35,000 of tuition. And travel expenses aren't that much an issue because you're in the region already or in the city already. So that's not the biggest factor. Another big advantage is that there is no work disruption. You are in the city where the MBA takes place. There is no work disruption. You can easily commute to the modules or to the programs every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, or full time. And it's easy for you to join these programs. But what we do at CEU is to offer the best of two worlds. First of all, let's start with the most striking argument, which is tuition. Tuition at CEU is only 29,000 euro without any scholarships or fellowships. But if you are eligible for a scholarship or fellowship, which people from Hungary, from Warsaw, from Poland, or from Romania are, or from the region, you could do the Executive MBA at CEU at only 15,000 euro of tuition, which is the same price of local programs, but at a higher quality. Speaking of quality, I would like to also mention the Executive MBA for the open world. Our Executive MBA is very much mission-driven. I will talk about the Executive MBA for the open world philosophy later in this presentation. Also, we have an international student body because of the modularity of the program. I will talk about the modules later in the presentation. But thanks to the modularity, people from basically around the world can actually commute to the program. We are the second most international university in the world, according to the Times Higher Education. And in our current cohorts, people are traveling, commuting to the modules as far away from Vancouver, Canada, Chicago, USA, or even South Africa, India, Australia, Malaysia, China, and even the Middle East, and of course, Europe. Also, there is no work interruption, thanks to the practical and flexible modular format. I will talk about the modular format later. And participants can fly in, fly out which is a major advantage of the program. We offer global faculty with top credentials, like those professors that you would expect from the leading business schools where you started your search with. They are teaching at CEU as well. All of our faculty members come from the best universities out there: Harvard, Berkeley, Stanford, Princeton, Yale, MIT, you name them. And the same applies to the student body. As I said, we are the second most international university in the world. So you will be in a very diverse setting as far as nationalities and social and professional backgrounds are concerned here at CEU Executive MBA. And when we say world-class faculty, we really mean it. I want to just give you an overview of some of our faculty members. Of course, not all of them, just an introduction to our faculty members. For example, Professor Mark Kaufmann for economics. He's an expert in applied theory with a PhD from Harvard University. Or Professor Joy Chan. If you're new to finance, Joy is a uniquely gifted educator. Generation after generation of our students tell us how she's just unique in explaining complex financial concepts to beginners. Speaking of beginners, but if you're advanced in finance, you will be placed in the advanced track with Adam Zawodowski, a leading expert on complex investments with a PhD from Princeton University. Or our data course with Lutzer. She's a practitioner, a data scientist, an expert on industry digitalization with experience from McKinsey. She's got a very practical approach in the data course. The course on big data and artificial intelligence will also be taught by Miklos Koren, one of the leading scholars in the field in Europe with a Harvard PhD. Or Sophia Baranier. She's got a PhD degree from London School of Economics. She's an expert on the future of work, which includes topics like automation, artificial intelligence, and robotics, a very zeitgeisty topic that also is part of our modules. Or our faculty director, Maciej Kieślowski, you will get to know him later in this open day. He, with degrees from INSEAD, Princeton, and Yale, he's an expert on non-market strategy and one of the best lecturers that we have in the module. For leadership, you'll have Professor Austin Lee Nichols, our world-class psychologist with executive education experience on 4 continents. He will lead the way in leadership. And just to give you an overview of our visiting faculty, because we invite faculty experts from around the world to teach your classes, from the best universities, as I said. Christian Selos, an expert on innovation from Stanford University, who has just taught at the Vienna module now in May. Or Professor Miklos Savary, an expert on digital marketing from Columbia University. Professor Omar Hernandez from Berkeley Haas Business School, an expert on operations management. Professor Hui Chen from the University of Zurich, or Professor Paula Caproni from the University of Michigan. They are experts to teach your classes and electives in the modules. So here's what the program looks like. It's a 9-module program, as you can see, and the dates you see on the screen right now are not going to change. So you can basically plan your studying around professional and family activities based on these dates. As you can see, we have 2 modules this year in the first year, 4 modules next year in the second year, and 3 modules in the last year, in 2024, which gives you flexibility and balance in your life. You might have noticed that we are piggybacking around popular European holidays like May 1st or November 1st or August 15th for a reason, because it's easier for you to take time off your job and actually join the modules. Again, it's a program that fits your life with less work disruption. And in the summer, which is the center column in Budapest, our bespoke and cutting edge leadership program takes place here in Budapest. and you'll have the opportunity to benefit from the electives from the faculty in the world we invite to teach your classes. Finish with us and you will join the CEU alumni network from around the world. I've already said that CEU is the second most international university in the world, and this is also being reflected in the alumni body, of course. You can rely on an active elite network of more than 18,000 professionals around the world on every continent. Basically, we have city level chapters, we have country level chapters. Basically, wherever you are in the world, wherever you might go in the world in the future, you will find CEU alumni to interact with and to network with. And the network is a network that you can count on and one of the key assets that we have. Our alumni network has a very American-driven approach, which means they're easily approachable. They will do their best to support you in a structured way or in an informal way. We do have, in a structured way, we have the alumni relations department. If you're looking for a specific person in a specific country, in a specific industry, in a specific company, a specific organization, you can reach out to our alumni relations, and they'd be happy to connect you to those people. Or in an informal way, you can just reach out on our social media groups on LinkedIn, Facebook, and just tell people, hey, I'm moving to Shanghai next year. I don't know any people there. Can we just meet and mingle and make new friends? And that's no problem at all. I've experienced it myself. When I went to one of these open days, I reached out to alumni that I did not know before, and some of them came to the open day and we had dinner after the open day. And that's how networking and the whole networking works. So the question is, how are we even able to offer such a high quality program at the tuition that we charge, at only 29,000 euro of tuition without any scholarships? The answer lies in our founder and benefactor, George Soros, who created CEU with the mission to promote open society. Just recently, George Soros made a further contribution to CEU's mission by offering another $1 billion, billion with a B, in endowment to create the Open Society University Network, which means we are the best endowed university in Europe. And we're passing on this financial advantage to our students and participants via scholarships, fellowships, and the best lecturers out there and the best technical infrastructure you can have for your learning experience. So what does the Executive MBA for the open world mean? What makes CEU unique compared to other programs? First of all, when we talk about the open world, we mean skepticism towards hierarchies, towards dogmas and privileges, both in context of how we teach, but also in composition of the cohort. Diversity is key to creating a successful program. And diversity for us is not just an empty marketing catchphrase, it's part of our DNA. Secondly, we believe in debate and radical rational thinking. Every idea can be challenged. We believe in facts and arguments rather than narratives and fake news, because it's narratives and fake news that create polarization in our societies these days. And we're responding to in this debate with arguments based on facts and realities. We believe the best way to challenge this narrative-based discourse is to make actually arguments based on facts and realities, which is the hallmark of Karl Popper's definition of open society. We are fundamentally opposed to all kinds of discrimination, and we actively promote diversity within our program. The way we finance the scholarship means we create opportunities to people who traditionally have not been able to actually join this program or join programs like this. It's about redistributing power and open access opportunities for people who have not had the chance to join actually programs like this. And we believe we see managers not just as people who deal with businesses and resources, but we also believe that managers go beyond that. They are positive change agents, whatever their professional background is. If you're coming from a corporate, if you're coming from entrepreneurship, if you're working for an NGO or the public sector, culture and arts, or human rights, you can be a positive change agent to help our societies be more open. So what does the CEU Executive MBA classroom look like? In the current cohort, currently we have 65 managers with an average of 14 years of work experience, including a minimum of 3 years of leadership / managerial experience. As you can see from the image, or the people who are on campus right now can see in the classroom, we use state-of-the-art classroom technology and setups in order to facilitate discussion and lively interaction in class. As far as the learning transfer, the knowledge transfer is concerned, we make use of case-based learning rather than traditional lectures that you would find in local MBA programs. Because we want to take you, experts in your specific field, from the level of functional expertise to the strategic level. You have become, or you're about to become, leaders in your field, and we will equip you with the skill set to become better leaders. Of course, we also offer top quality online experience, which can be experienced right now because we are broadcasting this open day worldwide. We have people joining us tonight via Zoom from around the world. And even in the modules, participants can choose to join online if, for example, traveling is inconvenient, if there's any travel restrictions, if they're in quarantine, if they don't get any visa. We have seen it all over the last 2 years, these restrictions. So if you're having any circumstances that prevent you from joining on site, you can join online easily. In order for you to join easily, we have invested heavily in studio-grade microphones, capturing lecturers and participants. Because it's not just one thing to join online, you want to understand people in class, and they should understand you when you're contributing to the debate. And we have invested heavily in the technical infrastructure to facilitate this interaction in class. Just to give you an example, we have invested in large screens and high quality cameras that are in action right now. So it's easier for your fellows to actually join, to follow the interaction, and it's easier for you to join the interaction if you're joining online. We have created physical virtual breakout rooms for support teams. The support teams are a very interesting concept that we have created in the Executive MBA. They're basically your teams for your group work. This is just an example of a support team group meeting that we had. First of all, we have created personalized virtual backgrounds, so you can see which person is talking, what the name is, and which group they belong to, because there's a color code, and people with the same color belong to the same support team. Speaking of support team, the interesting concept, the interesting twist about the support teams is we're not just randomly selecting support teams. You will be handpicked in your support teams, based on your nationalities, professional backgrounds, linguistic backgrounds, etc. Because you will be placed in a support teams not with people coming from the same industry, the same country, the same profession, or the same language, in order to expose you to as much diversity as possible. Why that? Because diversity is really the factor when the learning experience kicks in. When you're exposed to new solution-making processes, to new decision-making processes, to new group dynamics, this is where the learning really starts. When just imagine you're in a group with people from the same city, from the same industry, or even the same company, there's nothing new to learn because you would tell the same stories to each other about the same industry, the same company, or the same region. But if you're in a group with people coming from completely different backgrounds, this is where the learning experience kicks in. And of course, needless to say, we offer high quality individual support on every level that you're with us. From the level of just inquiring about the program, if you have any questions that you could ask me by email or WhatsApp, to actually applying for the program, to enrolling into the program, to being in the program or becoming or being an alumni, you deserve and you will get high quality individual support from us. So tuition is 29,000 euro, the basic tuition. But of course, if you're based in the region, for example, Poland, Hungary, or the Balkan region, you can apply. You're eligible for scholarships and fellowships, which where you can reduce your tuition by up to 50%, as I mentioned in one of the first slides. Yep.
Does mean like citizenship?
No,
or just residence?
we don't take into consideration your citizenship. We take into consideration the country of residence, because your salary depends on your country of residence and not on your citizenship. As I said, there is an online option. You can participants can join online if traveling is inconvenient. You can decide at every module flexibly if you want to participate online or on site. However, I strongly encourage everybody to attend on site. It's just the better learning experience. Nothing compares to sitting in class, to actually engaging, interacting with your professors, with your lecturers and your fellows in class. Online might be an option, might be a plan B if you cannot travel, but I encourage everybody to join on site. And besides the learning experience, don't forget about the networking part. When you're in class with your fellows, when you're having lunch breaks, dinner breaks, coffee breaks together, when you're going out in the evenings, this is where the networking and the mingling takes place. And you would build up a network for a lifetime in those lunch breaks and dinner parties together, which can hardly be done if you're joining online for the whole program. But of course, if you want to join online, you have the option to do so. In order to defray other costs of the program, we have negotiated discount rates with partner airlines, for example, Lufthansa and Austrian Airlines. We're about to negotiate even more discount rates with Ethiopian Airlines and airlines from the Emirates. So you would get a discount rate on flights to Vienna and Budapest, and the same applies for partner hotels. We have negotiated discount rates with partner hotels in Vienna and Budapest, which would give you a discount for your stay when you're with us in Vienna or Budapest. So I invite you to join the open world. The application deadline is June 12th. However, I encourage everybody to apply as soon as possible because we have a first come, first served policy. So the sooner you apply, the sooner you are able to reserve your study seat. Assuming that you're applying today, let's just imagine that scenario. I will check your application for completeness and correctness. Basically tomorrow, you will be invited to an interview and we would start the whole application process. We are not waiting until the application deadline. So the sooner you apply, the sooner you're able to reserve your study seat and you would have a starting advantage. Some of you I already know from one-on-one consultations. If you need another one-on-one consultation or if you haven't booked a one-on-one consultation yet, you're warmly welcome and invited to book an individual one-on-one consultation with me to discuss your questions and optimize your applications. We can discuss the program in detail. We can discuss the scholarships and fellowships in detail. I strongly encourage you and invite you to book a one-on-one consultation with me via our website. I think it's one thing to hear about the program from us, from the program office. I think you have an impression that we're passionate about the program and really committed to the program and think that it's of benefit to you. But I think it's another thing to hear about the program from a current participant, because he's actually in the program as a student and he can give you better, advice and a better experience about the program, how it looks like, than I can do. And I'm very happy to welcome Balázs Tokar tonight. Feel free to join me here on stage, Balázs, who's in the current cohort of 23. If you could briefly introduce yourself, tell us, who you are, where you're coming from professionally, and yeah.
Thank you, Thomas, very much. And I'm very happy to meet you and the fellows online. I don't know why the camera is, but anyway, so I thought just to, give you a brief story of mine, and hopefully we'll have questions. I'm happy to answer either here or at the end of the open day, online or in person, as you prefer. Well, if I should summarize it, it's a really great experience, and I'm not even halfway there. I mean, we started last August, so in I think next autumn, hopefully we will finish it. But I'm already quite sad that it will finish that soon because it's such a great experience. So a little bit about my background. I'm Hungarian, a local guy, and my background is logistics, supply chain, wholesale, road safety. But I also, besides having worked at larger corporations, I also went on interim management area as well. So I did several projects, 6 months, 12 months, 1.5 years even, in interim management, which either means that you step into a role of my expertise, of course, within logistics, supply chain, procurement, for instance, or I ran a project, and so it was project management. But I just felt, actually, I'm a little bit older than you, but Thomas and the others were so kind to, invite me or let me participate. But anyway, so I've been on director level for more than 15 years, and it was great to have logistics experience here and there, but I just wanted to experience something new. And when I was thinking about it, I thought, okay, what should I do, or how can I reach another level, or elevate my career to another level? Then I thought that, okay, I have experience, but only on one area, even if it's a quite broad area. But I wanted to learn something new. So actually, I looked up the EMBA courses, and especially, so all what you said, Thomas, about the advantages that all apply, at least in my case. So how to get great quality still in a kind of local way. So it's you don't have to travel. And family with 3 kids, so I just didn't want to, be here and there everywhere in the world. So, and the quality as well, the quality aspects, and what Thomas showed you, it really that's the situation. So those teachers are really great, very knowledgeable. I'm not saying that everyone is equally, the best of the best, but what is very important that they are ready to listen. So if we have any remarks or feedback, then they are ready to listen and change something. So we already could change certain things compared to our previous cohort. And hopefully for your cohort as well, it will be even better, but already it's quite high level. So I really like the openness. Mm-hmm. So it's not only talking about open society and diversity, but also being able to listen and ready to either learn or change. So I really appreciate that part. My personal goals, again, was to elevate my level or broaden my scope in career terms. But I also was very keen to study and learn what's new out there, and not only in my area, but marketing or business strategy, finance, etc. And the third goal, what I had, was to meet other people and to develop networking, have a bigger network. And I can tell you that our cohort consists, I don't know the exact number, but more than 20 nations. We have fellows, ladies, gentlemen, everybody, mainly from Eastern and Central and Eastern Europe, but also, as you said, from Canada, US, Australia, China, from Malaysia, Russia. And the guys, ladies and gentlemen, are really, really great fellows. So it's a warning already. I can give you that when you attend the module in person, then we have long hours of studying, but it's always open discussion, a lot of questions, etc. But please be ready that after the end of the day, you have to be very firm, to be resilient and not to participate in the evening programs what we have, because it's, without any special planning, we just go out. We don't get drunk, of course, maybe a couple of drinks, but again, discussing, learning about each other's background, enjoying the company. Yeah. So it's really great experience. So by the end of each module, we are quite exhausted, both from the academic part and from the social part as well. But it's a great experience. So.
But I think that the fun part is very important too. Yes. I mean, it's not about to be ridiculed. It's where you are establishing a network, where you actually make friends. You mentioned, I took some notes, you mentioned some interesting points. You mentioned the age. you're not the exception in the cohorts, because we have people with vast professional experience, with at least, of course, 8 years of work experience. We have people in their, I think the youngest people are in their mid-30s, and the oldest people are in their late 50s. So it's a wide age range. So diversity, not just with regard to nationalities, not just with regard to professional backgrounds, but also with gender identities and age range. And of course, you mentioned the quality of lecturers. I mean, of course, there's always lecturers where you would benefit more, and there's lecturers where you would benefit less. I mean, you know, it's like a buffet. There's always dishes where that you're hungry, where the appetite is bigger, and there are dishes where the appetite is less. And it's the same with academic offers. You know, there's professors where the chemistry is better between you and them, and where you're willing to learn more, or where your deficit is bigger, where you need to learn more, and lecturers where you already know most of the stuff already. And another thing that I noted is you're coming from supply chain, which is, I think, a very interesting point, because I think of the many fields that we know, you know, in business, marketing, and finance, I think supply chain management was the most visible over the past 2 years, because we've seen when the pandemic started, people were hoarding toilet paper. People are, you know, what we've seen so far, how the Chinese economy, Chinese lockdowns affected the American economy, and the war in Ukraine affects the European economy. I think this is a very interesting industry to work in right now. And we're providing insights into supply chain management in a couple of modules, and in the bigger picture module, which actually shows how everything is interconnected in the world right now. And I mean, the world right now, as we speak, is you know, a picture book of supply chain management. You know, a pandemic starting in one country causing economic troubles in another country, a war starting in Europe causing a boom in an industry on the other side of the world. And I think that's a very interesting point that you gave. You mentioned diversity, which I think everybody understood right now, that we offer lots of diversity. And I think there's nothing much to add to this conversation. Thank you very much.
Yeah, just one note, if you allow.
Sure.
About the supply chain, also the support teams you mentioned. Mm-hmm. It's very interesting, because indeed, based on diversity, Thomas and the professors put together the teams, which are there for, let's say, half a year roughly, mm-hmm. and then they change. So we change. And, you know, support team is typically meets either every week online or every other week, because we have case studies, we have team assignments we have to work on, and then we split the task, we work individually, but then again we discuss, and again the discussions, the quality of discussions I really enjoy. So and then we were said a little bit that the teams were changed, but at the same time very happy, because then we have the opportunity.
You will make new friends, I'm sure.
Exactly. So yeah, thanks for your.
Thank you very much for coming in.
And I'm happy to answer any questions if you have.
Thank you for sharing your experience so far.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to move to the Q&A part with our faculty director, Maciej Kiszlowski. I made some notes from the questions that came online. If you have any questions for the Q&A, feel free to just raise your hands and ask them. I will start with the online questions. And the first question, of course, for the professor, and it's a typical student question. Are there any exams? What about the grades? Is there a thesis?
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Very happy to see all the participants on site and online. The answer is yes, there are exams, but they are usually in the minority of courses, I must say. Mostly early on, more quantitative courses have exams. And later on, you have projects, you have team projects, and you both spoke so eloquently about our support teams, and for most courses you will actually do some team submissions. The exams are not offered during the module. That time is, only for exchanging ideas, meeting, discussing, learning new things. The exams are taken online after the module during a 2-week period at the time of your convenience. And the thesis, yes. So we don't ask you to write, you know, some fig book that's going to gather dust on a shelf. We rather want you to do something very CEU, which is to actually apply your knowledge in practice, to show us that what you've learned is not only just, you know, to impress somebody at a cocktail party, but to actually bring change to organizations, your or others that are, you know, among the broader set of your stakeholders. And by bringing change, we mean two things. You need to do two things to satisfy our capstone, our approach to thesis. One is what we call a strategic analysis component. So this is basically a piece of analysis, piece of thinking that you need to apply a business plan, a marketing strategy, you know, a strategy for a new venture, or even a policy paper. And the other component is the so-called leadership component, and that is actually about changing something, you know, through mentorship, through implementation, through action, but also using the tools that we teach you and we discuss at the program. So once you do those two, show us that you can analyze, apply the analytical tools that we have discussed, and that you can also use leadership tools that we have taught you. For our purposes, it's as good or better as a fig book gathering dust on a shelf.
Thank you very much, Maciej. I will take the next question because it's about the application. What are the application requirements and what does the application process look like? Let's start with the application requirements because, I mean, as a matter of logic, you would need to meet the criteria first because before we're talking about the process. We are looking for professionals from all backgrounds: corporate, NGO, public sector, entrepreneurship, culture, arts, civil rights, whatever, with at least 8 years of work experience and at least 3 years of any kind of managerial or leadership experience. Furthermore, you would be you're supposed to upload a CV and a motivation letter, and you would need a university diploma. We can make exceptions if you don't have a university diploma. We can make exceptions if you don't have 8 years of work experience. We can make exceptions, but you know the nature of exceptions. They need to be justified. So you need to argue why you would be eligible for this exception, even without the university diploma or without the 8 years of work experience. And we do have many cases of these exceptions in class because we have people who don't have a formal university education, but have climbed the career ladder to CEO level because of vocational training, because of company trainings. So we're happy to receive those applications as well. University diplomas can come from any field of study, could be business, could be political science, could be sports management, it does not matter, or music, as long as you have a bachelor's or master's degree or apply for an exception. You would need to present a proof of English because we are an American/EU university, and we need the proof of English in order to have the best quality of language in class and know that to make sure that everybody can follow the discussion in class. You don't need to present the proof of English at the time of application. You will have the time to present the proof of English until the very first module. So if you fancy the program, you can basically apply for the program tonight without the proof of English and present it until August 22. The proof of English usually is not, I haven't seen a single case where this has been a problem so far. You can do these exams with IELTS and Duolingo or TOEFL online. So basically, our students breeze through these English tests easily. Once you have submitted and completed your application, we will revise it for completeness and correctness. You will have the opportunity to hand in any missing documents or clarify on any misleading documents. And once you have submitted your application and you have your green flag by the program office, you will be invited to an interview with one of our faculty members. They have 45 minutes to ask you questions about to get to know you, first of all, and to ask you questions about your expertise, about your experience, about your leadership style, about your team working skills. And we're not going to play mind games in the interview. So we're not going to ask stupid questions or, like questions to, bring you out of the concept. We only have 45 minutes to get to know you, and we're going to ask serious questions about that. Once you have passed the interview phase, your application, your case will be presented to an admissions committee, because we are handpicking our students. And once you have received their approval, you will receive an admission decision from me only in a couple of weeks from the time of application. So usually it's just a matter of 2 to 3 weeks, if we're lucky, to give you to give you an admission decision. And basically from that point, you can start your enrollment and get access to CEU services and infrastructure like the library, career development services, alumni relations, or the campus itself. Maciej, I have one more question about academics. Then I would like to ask the audience if there's any questions, and then we're moving on to the keynote presentation, which is there any, are there any courses for individual preferences, like electives?
Oh, yes. This is one of the hidden gems of CEU Executive MBA. So, believe it or not, but during your Executive MBA program, you will be able to choose from almost 60 electives. That's like 60 electives. And you will choose 9 courses of your choice. So a significant number of courses will be of your choice from a huge selection of, as I said, more than 60. It's very unusual for an executive program. And the reason why we can accomplish it is that our, if you remember what Thomas presented you with the program chart, you have 3 summer modules. You start with the summer module and you end with the summer module. And all 3 summer modules meet at the same time, and thereby we pull all our participants together so that each year everybody has this humongous choice of electives. And by the way, if it's not enough for you to choose 9 out of this more than 60, then we have a program for our alumni to come back after their graduations, and many do, to take electives during our summer module. So that may be a beginning of a very long and happy friendship.
Thank you very much. Just one more question. I've received the question a couple of times online. If there are any scholarships or fellowships available, it's a clear yes. We offer a variety of scholarships and fellowships. We offer basically 3 streams of fellowships, which is, the first case is the Open World Scholarship, which aims at people who have achievements or who have done something significant in the field, very much aligned with our mission to promote open societies, which include democracy or human rights interaction or minority rights. Most people who apply for this scholarship are coming from NGOs or civil rights, but it's not exclusive to those people. If you're coming from the corporate but have achievements in that field, you can apply for that scholarship as well. The second option is the need-based scholarship, which only takes into consideration your income situation and the country of residence, because it makes a difference if you're a marketing manager in Kazakhstan or a marketing manager in Germany. It does not take into consideration your passport, only the country of residence. And the third stream is our merit-based country-specific empowerment fellowships, where we're trying our best to empower groups of our society, underprivileged groups of our society, which are underrepresented on the business and leadership level, like LGBTIQ managers or ethnic minorities, business women, managers with a disability, diversity, people with a diverse background, etc. But there's so many of them. So if you're interested in one of those or would like to receive more information about them, please feel free to book a one-on-one consultation with me. I'd be happy to advise you because there's just too many of them to mention them all here tonight. And we have one more incentive, which is the EMBA Together program for people who are applying together with a colleague or with their partners, which is a huge advantage as far as logistics is concerned if you're applying with your partner, because you would be in the module at the same time. You can arrange traveling and holidays at the same time. You can plan vacation at the same time together. We have an incentive for couples and colleagues too. Feel free to reach out to me to get more information about that. Without further ado, I would like to present Isosenius now to you, who's going to talk about machine versus romance, which wins when. Isosenius has a PhD from Central Florida, and the floor is yours without further ado.
Thank you so much. Let me see if this works. Okay, perfect. Hello, everyone. My name is Aisu. I'm an assistant professor of marketing at CEU, and I teach at the marketing module. In the marketing module, we talk about this main problem of how to come up with a general marketing strategy framework and how to apply it in the business world. So it's a lot more practical oriented, but I'm also a consumer researcher, and in my research, I focus on consumer behavior and try to answer the question as consumers why we act the way that we do. So in regards to that, in the next 15 to 20 minutes, I'd like to present you with one of my ongoing research projects. And I come up with this cool title with my co-author, Machine versus Romance, which wins and when. I hope you will enjoy it, and I hope, more importantly, you will find it relatable as consumers. So technology and automation has a very important part in our lives. The fact that right now we are having this open day in multiple locations, both participants in person and online, actually demonstrates that our lives are very much immersed with technology. And similarly, automation is also very important to us as consumers. And when I say automation, I do not only mean the automation that we can find in factories, which are like heavy machine, but at the same time, as consumers, whenever we use a smart remote control, an automatic cooker, automatic coffee maker, even climate control, so on and so forth. So as consumers, we constantly see these automated options in our lives. And they're also becoming very important for marketers to understand the consumer needs and try to see what kind of messages to use to promote these automated products. What we wanted to do in this project was to ask the question, what factors may impact people's preferences for automated products? This is very important because, as I mentioned, the managers and the marketing managers or the product innovators are trying to come up with all of these automated products to help us save let's say time, effort, do not have to put so much effort in doing a single task and having it done using an automated machine, let's say. But at the same time, research has shown that sometimes people may not be very likely to use automated products. So we wanted to enhance this discussion. And in this project, we wanted to introduce a very basic motive that all of us have as individuals, and that plays a very important role in our lives. Which is namely the romantic relationships and the feeling of love. So in the psychology and marketing theory, the romantic relationships has different stages. In this project, we are focusing on what is known as the first stage. So imagine that you met with someone that you are very attracted to, and you want this person to like you back, and you want to start a relationship. We call this as this mate acquisition motive. It's also known as a relationship formation motive. Whenever you want to attract someone, you basically engage in do single signals and behaviors that you do to attract this potential romantic partner. And hopefully after you, let's say, attract the person and start a relationship, and then the list goes on to have a relationship maintenance motive, which is basically the behaviors that you engage in to maintain that relationship. And then it can move on to parenting as well. So this stage, when we want to attract someone that we're very attracted to them and we want this person to like us as well, is a very unique motive that changes our behavior. So as it changes our behavior from a psychological perspective, but from a consumer perspective, these people also do impact how we behave. Very generally, usually, for example, males tend to use luxury or known as conspicuous consumption to demonstrate their, let's say, resources, potential, so on and so forth. And it also makes men to be more risk-taking, to show that they're actually better than the others, who is in a very competitive mating market, let's say. But at the same time, when we want to attract someone, it also enhances our creativity. So we become more creative, and as consumers, we also tend to choose options that we found as more creative. One thing that is central to this, let's say, relationship formation stage is to engage in a lot of self-promoting behaviors. So we want to demonstrate our capability, we want to show our potential, we want to emphasize to this person that we are the best and they should also like us back, and then so that we can form our romantic relationship. But what we're proposing here is that when we actually want to promote ourselves and show that we are the best, the automated products may actually harm when we want to promote ourselves. Because if you think about it, what automated products does is the reduced effort. We do not have to be skillful to cook a dish using an automatic cooker, right? Or we do not have to be an expert in parallel parking if we already have this automated parking assist feature installed in our car. So what we propose is that, like more theoretically from a research point of view, actually depending on the romantic relationship stage, people's preferences for automation may change. And we specifically hypothesize that when we want to form a new romantic relationship, individuals do not actually prefer the automated products. And the reason for that is that because the automated products neglect our capability. It doesn't enable us to show our potential to this partner. And as a result, we do not want to have the automated products when we are with this with the person that we are attracted to as next to us. So that is basically our conceptual framework. I also have some boundary conditions. We did a bunch of studies, experimental studies, to test our hypothesis, but for the sake of the time, I'll only talk about some of them. So what we did in our very first study was to ask undergraduates to come to a behavioral lab, and we asked them a simple question. Are you currently in a romantic relationship? About half of the participants said that they were currently in a romantic relationship, and we labeled these participants as having a relationship maintenance motive, which means they're already in a romantic relationship and they want to maintain their relationship. About half of the participants said that they were not in a relationship, and we coded these people to have a relationship formation motive, which is the focal category that we are focusing on. And then we gave them a simple scenario. We said, imagine that if they're in the relationship formation motive, we tell them, imagine that you recently meet an attractive person, you like this person very much, and you do want to start a relationship with this person. And then imagine that in one of your initial dates, you decided to cook a dish for this person. You have two options. You can either use regular cookware and do it by yourself from the start to the finish, or you can simply use an automatic cooker, which means you will only need to put the ingredients and you don't have to worry about how the dish looks like. For people who are in the relationship maintenance motive, we tell them you are doing the exact same thing, but you are doing this as part of one of the regular dates, let's say, with your already existing romantic partner. Then we ask them 3 questions. To measure their automation preference, we ask them, how likely are you to cook the dish using the automatic cooker? Would you prefer to use the automatic cooker? And also how desirable it would be for you to use this automatic cooker. When we look at the results, we see that people who were single, or the ones that we coded as having a relationship formation motive, had significantly lower preferences for the automatic cooker relative to people who are currently in a romantic relationship. This was our initial study. We wanted to do one more study to test our effects. And in this one, we also wanted to explore whether this capability neglect and the fact that we want to show off to the other person is specific to romantic relationships, or does that happen in any type of relationship, which is, so in this one, we use friendships as a control condition. So in this one, we also manipulated how people think to be single, to be with someone, or to, let's say, be single and meet with a friend. We use the writing scenario. So in the scenario, we told them to imagine that they're at a party and they meet this attractive person, and they think that it might be a potential romantic relationship. In the romantic relationship maintenance condition, we told them that they were at a party with their significant other, and they were enjoying their time, happy to be in a relationship. And in the non-romantic relationship formation, we told them that they were at a party, but this time they met someone, and they think that they will be a great friend to them. So it's the start of a formation of a friendship and not a romantic relationship. And then we gave them another scenario in which we said, imagine that with this person, you decided to go to a park, and you decided to have a biking trip. You can either use a regular bike, or you can use a bike with an automated, with an added automated feature that helps you with the pedaling. And then when we look at the results, we see that people who were in the romantic formation motive had the significantly lowest preferences for the automated feature. And there were no differences between people who were already in a relationship and people who want to form friendships. So with this study, we show that the need to demonstrate ourselves, to promote ourselves, is actually unique to romantic relationship, and it is not something that we see in let's say, a relationship. And if you think about it, the formation of friendship is actually very different than forming a romantic relationship based on the motive that we have. So we think that makes sense. So in our next study, we want to test for what we call as mediation, so the mechanism behind our effect. And in this one, we used a third-person scenario. We said that imagine that there's a person named Taylor. Taylor is either very much recently met someone and very much interested in them, versus Taylor is already in an ongoing relationship. And in this one, we asked them whether Taylor would choose to use the regular cookware or the automatic cooker, similar to the previous scenario. But this time, we also asked participants to report the capability neglect in items such as, if Taylor were to use the automatic cooker, Taylor's partner will not be able to recognize his or her cooking skills. Taylor's partner will not be able to experience what he or she is capable in cooking. Taylor will not be able to demonstrate his or her cooking capabilities and impress the partner with the abilities. When we do all the analysis, we once again see that the capability neglect was the mechanism behind the observed effect, such that when people want to form a relationship, when people think that Taylor wants to form a relationship, Taylor will not prefer automated products because it actually neglects his or her capability, so that the potential partner cannot see it. So we did a lot of main effect studies, but from now on, we want to understand whether our effects holds in every situation, or it depends on what we call as boundary conditions. So here we wanted to ask the question, okay, if I want to impress someone and show that I'm capable of things, does that mean, does it only happen when I'm capable? Or even if I'm not, let's say, good at that, let's say cooking or like biking, would that still make me not choose the automated products? So we had a 2x2 design, and in the capable condition, we told people to imagine that they're very good at cooking. Whenever they cook, people compliment them, which means that they are very, let's say, good at cooking. In the incapable condition, we tell them, imagine that you're horrible at cooking. Whenever you cook, people get lousy about your skills and people complain. And then we gave them the same scenario. Imagine that you recently met with someone versus you are already in a relationship, and whether you would choose a regular cookware or an automatic cooker. What we see is that the difference between in the capable condition was significant, but in the incapable condition, it was not significant. So these results suggest that people tend to not choose the automated product only if they think that they're capable at that specific, let's say, skill such as cooking or biking, and it doesn't happen when they are not actually skillful. And if you think about it intuitively, again, it makes sense, because if we really suck at something, we do not want to use that to impress the other person. But we were able to confirm it with our results. In a second question related to our results, we asked the questions, okay, for me to not choose the automated product, does this potential partner has to be in the scene, or is only thinking about this person makes me also not choose the automated product? Here we use a different manipulation. We used for a person named Jordan. And we either had the Jordan recently met with someone versus already in a relationship. And this time it was about the parking skills. We conducted the study in the US where parallel parking is actually a skill, unless you're in New York or in Boston, let's say. It may not be the case in Europe in some cities, but in the US it's definitely regarded as a skill. That's why we introduced a scenario where they're going to the movies and they can either park the car using the parallel parking assist versus not. And to manipulate partner absent versus present, we said that in the partner absent condition, Jordan goes to the movies by himself or herself and meets this person at the movie theater. In the partner present condition, Jordan picks this person up and they're going to the movies together. So in this one, when Jordan is about to display or make the automation choice, the partner is present in the environment. And when we look at the results, we see that our observations only hold when the partner was present. And when Jordan was alone, people didn't think that there would be a significant difference whether he would use the automated feature or not. So basically, this study shows that in order for us to promote ourselves to the other person, we definitely want the other person in the consumption scene. I'm skipping one study for the sake of the time, but we also wanted to understand whether this automated feature has to be related to the skill versus not. We had a 2x2 design. This time it was the same Jordan scenario with the parallel parking assist, but this time we said the car has a parallel parking assist. So if Jordan uses that, it eliminates his parallel parking skills. But in the feature unrelated condition, the automated option was related to climate control feature, which is not related to a skill if you think about it. And we predicted that actually the feature should be relevant to the skill that we are trying to display if we're going to see our results. And when we look at the results, when the feature was related, which means that when the automated feature is about the parallel parking, that would be something that eliminates the parallel parking skill. The results show that when Jordan went to form a relationship, he or she doesn't prefer the automated option. On the other hand, when the automated feature was unrelated to the skill that is present in the scenario, there were no significant differences. And finally, we wanted to ask the question, okay, so far we just keep assuming that automation eliminates the capability and people just do not prefer automation because they're not able to show off to the other person about their skills. So in this study, we wanted to manipulate the capability and the automation and actually show that automation can also be good when you want to form a relationship. And we did this through by manipulating capability. In the control condition, in the task capability, it was the same scenario about Jordan trying to park the car, whether he or she would use the parallel parking assist feature or not. But in another condition, we kept the scenario the same, but we added a sentence to say that this parallel parking assist feature is very expensive and only people who are wealthy are able to afford this. By adding this sentence, we kind of prompted Jordan to demonstrate his or her financial capability by using the automated option. And research has shown that being able to demonstrate your financial capability at the beginning of a relationship is important both for men and women. And when you look at the results, when it was about task capability, which was about parallel parking assist, and then it eliminates the parallel parking skills, the results replicated the previous studies. But when we name it as an indicator of financial capability, the results actually reversed. So what all of these means is that based on the relationship stage, sometimes machine, sometimes romance wins. But in this case, when we propose that when romantic formation motives are actually present, the machine tends to lose and romance tend to lose more. But it depends on different factors, such as the individual has to be skillful, be good at the specific thing. The partner should be present. The potential partner should be present in the environment. The feature should be related to the automated feature. The individual should be motivated. And finally, capability highlight should have on automation. And if it is reversed, actually for people who want to form a relationship, machine can also win. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer right now or maybe later. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Do you have any questions? Go ahead.
First of all, thank you very much for the very interesting presentation. Actually, I recently submitted a research paper about the factors that affect the adoption of automated vehicles. And interestingly, I found one of the factors that affecting it, the people who enjoy driving are not really willing to accept the automated vehicle, are less likely to adopt this kind of self-driving cars. And as a researcher, I am really interested in this research because more or less, maybe I can cite it in my research, further research. So if it is available or published.
Thank you so much. Well, we're actually writing this up. It's supposed to be submitted by the end of this month. So after this open day, I'll go and work on it. Yes, actually, it's about the identity consumption. So I understand what research you are doing, and I totally agree on it. I believe it's if you identify more with driving, you are less likely to use automated, right? I also recently read a paper similar to that. That is a great individual factor. And if you think about it, if I'm very good at cooking, I would even think that, the cooking is not, the automatic cooker will not actually be fair to my cooking skills. So I won't be likely to use it. So in this project, we wanted to introduce the social dimension, which is the romantic relationship, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. Any other questions? Perfect. I mean, if you'd like to ask more or chat about the Executive MBA in general, I'll be around for some time. Thank you. And thank you, Thomas, for inviting me for this open day.
Of course, it's an honor to have you. Thank you so much.
Let me start.
Sure. Thank you so much, Aisu. Thank you so much, Balázs, for joining us tonight. I would like to conclude this open day. Those people who have joined us here on Budapest campus, feel free to join us for drinks and refreshments after this open day. For everybody who has joined online, like Maciej, thank you so much. And thank you for all of our attendees who joined online from around the world. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.